Yo, what's going on, y'all? Nick here, coming to you with another video. So it's been a long time, you guys. I haven't made one of these videos in quite a while. And I've heard a lot of people, a lot of feedback, people that reached out to me saying that, when are you gonna make the next one, Nick? When are you gonna make the next one? So this is why I'm here. I did not forget about you guys. I promise you that I did not forget, but I just been busy managing multiple YouTube channels. So, but I did not forget you guys. But let's just get right into it. As the title and the thumbnail suggests, this is music lesson number 10. Introduction to Jazz Chords. All right, so this is gonna be interesting. If you guys remember the last video, you will know that we did pretty much the triads and we're doing the inversions of some chords. All right, so for example, if we started in the key of C, there's no sharps or flats, so it's all the white keys, right? And I started on the one chord, which is C major. Now, before I proceed, please let me know down in the chat. Please let me know if I'm coming in clear. All right, it's very important that I can actually be heard, so that it can actually benefit your learning. But anyway, getting back to the point, we started on C, and I was trying to show you guys that essentially from this root position C, you can actually do two inversions. One where we go to the fourth chord, and the fourth chord, right, is essentially F major, right? But as you can see, I was teaching you guys, I didn't want to make this big jump, right, where I have to move all my keys. So what I was teaching you was the inversions, where pretty much we look at the similarities that the two chords share. All right, very good. I see that I'm coming in clear. All right, awesome. So pretty much I will look at the two chords and I'll see what do the two notes share. So for example, if this is C major, right, and then I'm gonna play F major on top, right, you can see that both of those chords share the note C. So if I was started on C, rather than me having to move C, I already have C. So how about I move the two top notes, which in this case would be E and G, and just move it up to F and A. And that's, as you can see, F over C, or just pretty much it's a F major chord, but it's the inversion, right? So I was teaching you that. And also from the same root position C major chord, I can actually do the same thing, but going downwards, where I keep my top note, but just move the other two notes down, and that gives you my G major chord, right? So essentially, I wanted you guys to do it on all the degrees. Now, time would fail me. Time would fail me if I was gonna do this for all 12 keys and show it to you guys. That's what the homework was for. All right. And if you guys are watching this on the live, ask me questions. This is your time to ask me any questions you need or have, so that I can actually address it right now. But time would fail me for me to go through all 12 keys and show you. But I will show you just the key of C, and I might do G just to show you what it should have looked like if you guys did this practice properly, right? So in the key of C, and I hope this doesn't confuse you, so I'll just do it with one hand, right? But if you were doing it, you should have done it with both hands. But this is how it should look like, right? So I wanted you to be in the root position C, then do the inversion where the two top notes go up, go back to the root position C, and then move the two bottom notes, right? And then go back to the root position C. Now, if you did that, I wanted you to go do this in all 7 degrees of the key of C. So again, if we in the key of C, there is no sharps or flats. So you're not playing none of the black notes, right? None of the black keys, excuse me. So then I would move up. If we had C, just go up the scale to D and play that same root position D chord, which is D minor, as you can see on the screen, right? And again, this is the reason why I downloaded this app, so that you guys can visually see what I'm playing on the keyboard, as well as the spelling of the chords. But again, it would be the same thing. From the key of D, you would keep the D, right? Keep the bottom note and move the top two notes, right? Which is a G chord. go back to the root position D minor and move the two bottom notes, which is A minor, right? And then go back to the root position D chord. Now, I'm not going to keep repeating myself, but I'm just going to move up the 7 degrees. So moving up to the E or the 3rd degree, and then do the same practice. Right? Then I'm going to move up to F. Then I'm going to move up to G. Right? And then move up to A. Then I'm going to do B diminished, which is the 7th. And then we back to that C. But I'll just move that C down. Alright, so I hope you guys understood that. That was part 1 of the homework, if you guys did it. Part 2 was that I was asking you guys to do that in all 12 keys. So if you've been following along with all my lessons, you will know that everything that you play on the piano, and not just the piano, in music, if you're trying to get to the next level, everything that I teach you, you have to transpose it to all 12 keys. It is not enough. It's not sufficient for you to just be proficient at one key, because that's not how music works. All right, you guys? I hope I'm making sense here. So anything I teach you, and this goes for the guitar, this goes for the trumpet, this goes for the saxophone. I mean, the principles of music. And this is why, as I've said on my channel, I'm not teaching you how to be a piano player. I'm not teaching you how to become a guitar player. I'm teaching you how to be a musician. And if you are a musician, you understand the principles of music, right? So everything I'm teaching you, you can literally apply to any instrument that you're playing. All right, but being that we are playing the keyboard, obviously, right, we have to transpose it to all 12 keys. So again, I'm not going to do all 12, but I'm going to show you what you should have done. So I've taught you the circle of fifths. So you will know that if we're in the key of C, that the circle of fifths pretty much shows you what's the next scale you should have learned or apply whatever you're learning. So if this is the key of C, once again, right, C would be considered degree number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we see that 5, right? The 5th degree of C is G. So therefore, now the new scale that we should be applying everything we're learning would be the key of G. All right, so I'm going to just play the key of G real quick. Right? And we know we played the scale the proper way because, and bear with me, guys, because I'm going to have to sing, but it is whatever, right? We all have to sing at some point. But in the key of G, you know that it sounds proper because it would have the fundamental sound, which is, let me just find the note. Do, do. I'm going to go lower, all right? Do. So, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So long as you have that general sound, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If you have that general sound, then you know that you're playing the proper key. For example, I'm going to play this purposely wrong. It sounds a bit off, right? I purposely did that to show you that in the key of G, it is not F natural. Remember that, right? It is F sharp, right? So that's how you know we introduced our first sharp, etc., etc. But anyway, let's just do this quick practice. Again, I'm going to do the same practice I did before, but now on the key of G, right? So, right, keep the bottom note, move the top 2, back to the root G, and keep the top note and move the bottom 2. Right? And now move up the degree. Move up. And now move up. All right, move up. Now E minor. diminished, right? And then we back to G. All right. Again, if there is anything that you guys are lacking, if you need me to explain it even further, please, again, this is the time to chime in. Let me know. Or if you're watching this, watching a rebroadcast, put it in the comment section down below. But I hope I'm explaining this as clear as possible. But essentially, you should have done that in all 12 keys, all right? That was the homework. And that's the reason why, too, I was a little bit hesitant to move forward, because believe it or not, a lot of people, I know you want to get to the next stuff. I know you want to just have fun, play some of your favorite songs. If you guys didn't notice, I was playing Alicia Keys' Diary in the beginning of the stream, right? I know you want to get to all that nice stuff, but you gotta master the basics, all right? I'm telling you, guys gotta master the basics. But if you did that on all 12 keys, then as I promised, that was gonna be the introduction to jazz chords, all right? Now, jazz chords, again, we purposely building on the previous lessons for a reason. Jazz chords are not that hard to understand as people may think. It really is not. All the jazz chords are is you start introducing what we call the seventh, right? In other words, so in music, I broke it down to you before. There's three components, right? There's melody, harmony, and rhythm. We're obviously in the harmony section, right? When we play two or more notes. The first classification of chords we learned was the triad. That's the basic form of chords. It's 3-note chords. When you get to jazz, rather than 3, right? Hence triad. Now we start introducing 4 chords. That's all it is. When we start introducing 4 and above, and this is a very oversimplification, guys, but generally speaking, that's pretty much what it is. It's pretty much a four note chord. Once you start entering 4 notes, then we start entering the realm of jazz. All right. So here's what's interesting about it. Again, we're building on the previous lessons. If you guys remember, I was teaching you that you should learn all your scales and learn it diatonically. Now, the reason why that's important is because, and diatonic, if you guys don't remember, is just a fancy, musical term for all the notes within the scale. When we were building the triad, I was telling you the easiest way for you to understand it was skip every other note within the scale. All right, I'm going to say this one last time because, again, if you can understand this, everything starts to compound on itself and it becomes very simple. In order to build a triad chord, within a scale, we would skip every other note within that scale. So again, if we in the key of C, right? Basic, right? All the white keys. When we did the C triad or the C major chord, right? It was C. I would skip D to go to E. I would skip F to go to G. And all I'm telling you today is that essentially, in order for you to start playing jazz chords, you're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to skip every other note within the scale again, but this time we're going to have 4 notes comprised of the scale. So now instead of playing A, we're going to skip A to go to B. And now let's play all together. And you can actually see it on the screen, all right? Look at that name of that chord. It's called C major 7. When you start entering the 7th chords and above, I'm going to teach you eventually there's 9s and there's 13s and all this other stuff. But when you get to the major 7 or minor 7 or whatever 7th chord, that's when we enter in the realm of jazz. So let's hear how that sound. Wow, wow, wow. Doesn't that sound very pretty? I'm going to play that one more time. Woo! That sounds smooth, man. If you guys are playing that, I know that sounds smooth already. I know that sounds smooth. But on a serious note, that's all it is. That's literally all it is, guys. So it's not hard. Sometimes you hear some of these tracks from your favorite artists on the radio and you're thinking like, man, those chords sound real smooth. They sound real pretty. Yeah, that's because they're entering the realm of jazz. Now, again, I'm over simplifying it, right? I'm gonna teach you inversions because the same way there's inversions for the triad chords, which we learned, that's gonna be another lesson. I don't want to overload you, but that's essentially what it is. You're just skipping every other note. You're doing that. You playing 4 notes, and then you start entering the realm of jazz. So I'm gonna play the triad, and then I'm gonna compare it to the jazz chord, and I'm gonna show you the difference between the two. So this is the C major triad. I'm gonna play it one more time. And now I'm gonna add the 7th. Ooh, you hear that? I'm gonna play the triad one more time. And now let's hear the 7th. I hope you can hear the little subtleties of that sound, but it makes a big difference. It makes it sound more full. It also makes it sound more mature. Because a lot of times triads are reserved for like little, childish music. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you wanna, if that's the feeling and emotion you're trying to evoke. But if you're trying to be more contemplative, right, you want people to think a little bit deeper, that's when you start entering the realm of jazz, right? That's when you want to, gospel players, they too are playing tons of jazz chords, right? That's pretty much all it is. Now, for homework, obviously, I want you to do that in all the 7 degrees, right, of a scale. Let me just break this down just so you guys understand. Remember, there is a difference between the degrees of a scale and then different scales altogether, right? When we say degrees of a scale, we're still talking diatonically. We're talking about all the notes within the scale. And remember, there are 7 unique degrees. All right? So I'm going to do it one more time in the key of C. This would be degree number 1, which is C. Degree number 2. Degree number 3. Degree number 4. Degree number 5. Degree number 6. Degree number 7. Right? Degree number 7. And now, degree number 8, which is why we call it the octave, is just going back to the original note, which is C. Right? And now you can even see it on the screen, C octave. Right? Because from 1 to 8, you're pretty much playing the same exact note. Right? And that's why I said there are 7 unique degrees. By the time you get to the 8th and beyond, you start repeating the notes. All right? So, for homework, I want you to play 7th chords on all 7 unique degrees of a scale. Before we dive into it, I mean, it should be obvious, but I just want to hammer it, make sure there's no wiggle room, no room for mistakes or misinterpretation. The reason why it's called a C major 7, right, is because essentially that 7 is indicating that we're playing the 7th degree of that scale or that particular key note, right? And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that if we're starting on C, where C is the 1, right? The 7th, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7 is B. And notice, what are the notes that comprise of a C major 7? C, skip D to E, skip F to G, skip A to B. And that's why it's called a C major 7. It's literally that simple. All right? So now, what you're going to notice, right, and I'm going to play it for you, if we go up a degree, right, the triad would have been D minor, right? Notice I'm skipping every other note to form a D minor triad. If I continue to skip a note, starting from D, the 7th degree of D would be C. And that's why they call it a D minor 7. And to be even more concrete, in a regular D scale, if you guys remember, there would have been F sharp and C sharp, right? Notice if I play F sharp and C sharp, that becomes D major 7. The reason why it's called D minor 7, because remember, we're still in the key of C, right? And in the key of C, there is no sharps or flats, so it's all the white keys. Right? I hope I'm making sense. I hope I didn't lose any of you. But again, if we were playing in the key of C, and then we did the same concept, skipping every other note, playing 4 notes, it would be D minor 7. All right? So that's important to understand, right? Because if you guys paid attention in the last video, if we do a triad on every degree has a name. Same thing with the seventh chords. All right. So I always want you to remember, if we say the 2 chord, or yeah, right, pretty much that's it. A 2 chord. A 2 chord will always be a minor, and if we play a jazz 2 chord, right, or a seventh 2 chord is pretty much minor 7. Same thing applies for the third degree. And the third degree is also a minor 7. It just happens to be, in this case, E, because we were in the key of C. So the third degree will always be a minor 7. The fourth degree would be a major 7. Right? Now, this is where it gets interesting, because when we did the triads, when we go to the fifth degree was major. Right? But if you add the 7, because we in the key of C and there is no sharps or flats, remember, if we skip every other note, we have to play F natural. So notice, I'm going to show you the difference between, I'm going to go back to 4, F, so that you can see the difference. If I go to 4 and I play a 7 chord, notice it's called a F major 7. But when you do it on the G, it's called G7. They don't have major there. That's because that's what we call a dominant chord. All 5 chords in jazz is called G dominant. All right? That's extremely important. All 5 chords are always dominant chords. Now, all that pretty much means is that the 7th chord, because for you to actually understand it, let's get into the actual theory, right? In a natural G scale would sound like this. It would have that F sharp in there before we get back to G. And the F sharp in the case of C, the F sharp in the case of G is actually a 7th, right? I'm gonna count it for you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 back to G. Now, because jazz chords operates in 7ths, a dominant chord, what they're pretty much saying is that the 7th note is flat. Because again, in the case of G, if we were in the key of G, we would have to play a F sharp, right? And notice it says G major 7. If we flat the 7th note, right, that 7th note, if we put it down a half step or flat it, right, it becomes F natural, and therefore it becomes G dominant, right? And can you hear the difference? I'm sure you can hear it. I'm gonna play G major 7, and you see how it kind of has like this overall happy feeling, versus dominant, which is, it's kind of like you don't really know. It's not sad, but it's not happy. It's kind of like, okay, where are we going from there, right? I'm gonna get into that later on in another video, but it's a dominant. Anyway, moving on from that, you'll know that if we go to the 6th degree, the 6th degree would be A. That would be A minor 7, right? And then if we do it again, moving to the 7th degree, notice it's a B minor 7 flat 5, right? Or a B diminished 7. You get what I'm saying? But that's pretty much what it is. Whenever you see a flat 5, that's because that fifth note of B, which would have been F, that is, you see, because notice if I remove that 5th, it says B minor 7, but it's not a B minor 7 because we're in the case of C, so it becomes a B diminished. This particular app doesn't happen to say diminished 7, they just call it B minor 7 flat 5, which in most books that is how they would actually name it. So we're just gonna stick to the naming, B minor 7 flat 5. All right, you guys. So notice in this case, it's the same principles. We skipping every other note, but by the time we get to the 7, all 7 chords. All right, that's important to understand. All 7 chords, if you're playing diatonically, will always be a minor 7 flat 5. And we go back to the 8. Obviously, that should be C major 7. All right, you guys, that is a lot. It may not seem like that. You might think to yourself, "Oh, okay, I'm pretty much doing the same pattern, and I'm just moving up the key, or moving up a degree within the scale." Please do not diminish this, guys. Uh, truth be told, there's many of you who want to get to the jazz chords, and may not even have mastered the triads. So do not diminish this. This is extremely important. This is extremely important. I want you to actually remember the naming. Like if I tell you what's a two chord, I want you to. I don't want you to think about it. No, no, no. I want you to quickly say, "Oh, it's a minor seven, right? That D is a minor seven." I want you to just be able to get there real quick. If I say what's a fifth chord, don't. No, it's a it's a dominant seven, right? Right? I want you to get this, you guys, because this is extremely important, and I don't want you to think that it is not. Also, just to make this live stream a little bit, more interesting, I actually want to play something for you guys. All right, so bear with me real quick. But you guys saw that I was playing that Alicia Keys song in the very beginning. So I actually want to show you guys, you know, how it would actually sound. So let's see if we can actually find this real quick. There you go. That's what I was looking for. All right. So let there you go. So here's Alicia Keys, and I'm gonna show you the importance of everything that I was saying. Like you'll see, right? You want to get into that, so I'm gonna show you the importance of everything that I'm teaching you right now, where it's gonna eventually lead us to. All right, so I want you to trust the process. Don't poo-poo the process, you guys. It's gonna help you in the future. But let's actually get into it. Let's see how this sounds. Uh, I, I, man, I don't even know where was the last thing I said on this stream. I heard someone said they couldn't hear me, but I'll just repeat it. If you guys enjoyed everything that you guys heard, please like, subscribe, comment down below, do all that stuff. Everything that you heard me play regarding the Alicia Keys song was me just pretty much trying to motivate you guys, and hopefully you guys can actually be able to be inspired, because again, music is meant to be fun, and all these things that I'm doing right now, you're gonna dread it if you do not actually see the potential moving forward. Hey, Sister Nanette, bless you. I bless you dearly. I'm glad you came through on the live stream. If you guys find these videos helpful, please, again, share with anybody that want to increase in their musicianship. Again, although you see me playing the keyboard, if anybody knows me, you know that I play the saxophone, but all the principles I'm teaching you on these videos, right, they are applicable to any instrument that you choose to learn. And that's the reason why I say I'm not trying to build piano players or saxophone players or guitar players. I'm trying to build musicians. These principles are principles of music. All right, you guys. So once again, please practice as much as possible. And I do, trust me, I do read the comments. All right, guys. So if all of you are asking me, when you're going to put out the next video, that actually motivates me. It really does, because I'm pretty much putting out all this information that a lot of people spend thousands of dollars to go to college and learn this type of information, and I'm literally just giving it to you guys for free. That's something I wanted to do, to give back to, just the people of the Most High. But anyway, with that being said, you guys, I'm over and out. Let me see this. Oh, hallelujah. Josiah, Alicia are listening and learning. Hey, I'm glad you guys are taking it in. I would love. Here's the thing. If anybody also knows me, here's one thing that would really make me so, what's the word? Joyful. I'll be overjoyed. If anybody knows, you kind of see me sometimes on service. You might see me on stage playing the piano. If there's anybody that ever gets so proficient to the point where they can actually take me off that piano, man, I know that I actually did a good work. Because believe me, I'm just trying to fill in the gaps wherever I can to help the overall people, to help the body. But I don't got to be up there. If anybody could replace me on that piano, man, again, all praise to the Most High. But once again, you guys, I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. This is on YouTube, so rewatch it as much as possible, soak it in, immerse it. You get what I'm saying? And eventually, may you be the next generation that can actually disseminate this information for anybody who may be struggling and trying to learn music. All right, you will be the future teachers. All right. Anyway, with that being said, Nick over and out. Jesus is king, y'all.